Today, we're going to talk to Kent C. Dodds. We're going to learn about how he got started in development, what he's up to today, and what he's going to be speaking about at the upcoming React Advanced London conference. This video is sponsored by GetNation. Be sure not to miss the React Advanced London Hybrid Conference happening October 22nd and 25th. React Advanced London will be a hybrid in-person and remote conference with over 60 speakers and more than 20,000 developers attending. There will be over 10 free remote and pro hybrid workshops included. You can expect to hear from authors and core teams from these amazing React libraries and projects. Join live chat rooms, after parties, and fun activities. Discover the future of React and connect with other developers from around the world. Get your tickets now using the link in the description to get 20% off. Kent is an amazing developer, speaker, teacher, and course creator. Thanks for joining me today, Kent. Why don't you give everyone a quick introduction?
Yeah, well, so in addition to the things that you said, I am a father of 4 children and a husband to my wife, and we live in Utah in the United States, and yeah, it's a good time here.
Awesome. Do you want to give everyone just a quick background? Like, how did you get started in web development?
Yeah, so years ago I was in school, and I tried programming before, and I wasn't really good at it, but I knew I wanted to do something with computers, and eventually landed in information systems where I could do like practical things with computers. All of my experience with programming before was like, let's make a linked list data structure and all this other stuff. Like, who cares? I don't need that. So yeah, so it was just not very practical. And so when I realized I could do practical things with computers in business and stuff, I was like, okay, we'll go with that. But I had an internship where I needed to do some really mundane brain like sucking tasks that was not fun. And I realized that I could automate some of that stuff by programming. And so I wrote a program to automate that. And that was my first taste at actually being able to program with, with an actual intent, like something that was actually useful. So yeah, over time I started to program more, and eventually discovered JavaScript, and realized that programming was even better than I thought it could be, because I just really love JavaScript. And yeah, the rest is history.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, once you get past those, entry level kind of things that aren't that practical, and you start applying what you've learned to actually fixing a problem, a real world problem, you're just hooked after that. So that's kind of the same route that I took as well. Like, went to college for something totally unrelated, and then kind of did programming on the side. And then when I actually had a problem that I needed to solve, same as you, like solving it with code was just like, I have to just keep doing this. This is so much fun.
Yeah.
So.
It really is kind of cool, like to be able to create things. And I think that most humans really enjoy the process of creation. And the cool thing about digital creation is if you decide you want to start over or anything, you don't have to clear out the old stuff. You just delete it and start over. Whereas like if you're painting or building a house and you decide you want to start over, that's a bit of a bigger deal.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So some of the more recent things that you've worked on, you've got the Epic React.dev, which is epic. You've got Egghead.io, Front-End Masters. Am I missing? Like, what else have you worked on more recently?
Yeah, so there's I started with Egghead.io, and I've got a bunch of courses on there, and I'm still creating for them. And then my next place was Front-End Masters. I've got, I think, like 5 or 6 courses on there that I've stopped working with them, not because they're not great. They are totally awesome, just because I'm trying to focus more. And then I started making my own stuff. So testingjavascript.com was the first, where I teach people everything I know about testing. And that's been going for almost 3 years now. And it's gotten like 2 updates. And then epicreact.dev was just released a year ago. and that is going great, and I'm looking at updates to that. And I'm planning on making something for TypeScript, so for people getting into TypeScript or wanting to up their game on TypeScript, and then revamping Epic React and testing JavaScript are on the horizon.
Nice. Yes, I love TypeScript. So let's talk about the conference now. So is this the first conference that you're going to be speaking about or speaking in person since lockdown?
Yeah, let's see. Well, by the time this conference rolls around, no. I have another conference before, but yeah, I'm just getting started on getting back out to see people in person. I can't wait. Just hopefully these other COVID problems don't become worse.
Yes.
So,
we're hoping that everything smooths out so that we can actually make it to these conferences.
Yeah.
And then just so the audience knows, this is going to be a hybrid conference. So you can attend in person at the brewery in London or remotely. And so what do you think about these events going forward? Do you think that a hybrid event is kind of the model of the future?
I'm not sure whether it'll be the model of the future because it's really difficult to pull that off. But it's no surprise to me that Git Nation is doing this. So I have attended, I think, at least 3 of their remote conferences, and I've attended a lot more other remote conferences. And even before COVID, there were several remote conferences, and they all had varying levels of polish to them. And one of the big challenges with remote is that you don't get the reward as a speaker of like being able to just have casual conversations with people as much. But Git Nation is different. They really go out to make a remote experience really great. So I've gotten pretty burned out by remote conferences, but Git Nation does some special stuff. So they do like in the past remote conferences that I've been with Git Nation, they do these games that are actually pretty fun. That you get people together. They have these special rooms that kind of feel like you're in person because you can drag your little avatar around to different groups and have conversations just like you would in person. And people can see that you've just walked up, and so it's kind of like joining a circle of people. And then they have like the ability to ask questions, like Q&A after the talk, which actually I don't mind it so much in remote, but in person I actually don't like Q&A very much. So that's kind of interesting. Being able to do that in a remote setting, I actually like that better. So they also have speaker rooms. So for people who have more questions, they want to have like deeper conversations with people. They have that for remote people, and discussion rooms, and and then like you do get access to everything during the conference and afterward. So I think it's definitely better to be in person, for sure. But I don't know of anyone else doing remote conferences better than Git Nation. And I mean that for real, that they do a phenomenal job of making it the best that it could possibly be.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like a Git Nation remote conference is like no other remote conference that you've ever been to. It is one of the best for sure. And I do agree that in person, obviously that you're going to get more out of it in person. But for those that can't attend in person, getting that remote experience, you're going to learn a lot more obviously than not going at all, right? So that remote experience is still great. And I kind of hope that it will kind of still be a thing as long as it's done properly, like you said. As long as the experience is there, then it would be worth it. Yeah,
well, and it makes it so much more accessible for people as well. And so even if it's not as great as being in person, it's certainly better than not attending at all and just watching the YouTube videos later or something. Like it definitely is. So so I'm on board if it can be done well.
Yes, for sure. Awesome. Well, let's talk about what you're going to be talking about. So at the conference, you're going to be talking about intentional career building. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so this is based on a blog post I wrote several years ago, where I just got a lot of questions about how to build your career. And I also like observed people just kind of going with the flow of things, and thought, if we're intentional about it, we can have a lot more of what we want, what we're looking for out of our careers. And so there were some things that I had done to intentionally build my career, like very thoughtfully. And so I shared those ideas in a blog post, and it's a, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it, it's a pretty good blog post. Some good tips that people have implemented themselves and appreciate. So I'm excited to give some of my personal experience, and hopefully people can derive some value out of that and apply some things to their own lives.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I read over the blog and it's great. So before we wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to add or shout out? Anything at all?
Just that I'm really grateful to Git Nation for all that they've done during the pandemic to try and keep things going. I know when the pandemic started, it was just like, oh, man, I can't imagine being an event organizer at that time. And there were probably people who were really upset about things and sending nasty emails and who knows what. But it was just a really difficult time. And Git Nation was just super in making things still happen. There were plenty of event organizers who worked really hard to make things the best that they could be. So I'm really grateful for Git Nation for making this happen and bringing this back, and hopefully things go well. In general, I always like to encourage people to be nice in the community. You could be the best software engineer in the world, but you're not going to make the world much of a better place if you're not nice, because people won't want to work with you, and you won't be able to accomplish the things that you want to in life, and you'll just always be chasing after the next thing that'll make you happy if you aren't a nice person. So I hope to see people either in person or remotely at the Advanced React conference, or React Advanced. I always mix that up. React Advanced London. And looking forward to it. It should be a really good time.
Yes, I totally agree. There's no reason not to be nice. Just be nice. So whether remote or in person, be sure to join us October 22nd and 23rd at React Advanced London Conference. Be sure not to miss the React Advanced London Hybrid Conference happening October 22nd and 25th. React Advanced London will be a hybrid in-person and remote conference with over 60 speakers and more than 20,000 developers attending. There will be over 10 free remote and pro hybrid workshops included. You can expect to hear from authors and core teams from these amazing React libraries and projects. Join live chat rooms, after parties, and fun activities. Discover the future of React and connect with other developers from around the world. Get your tickets now using the link in the description to get 20% off.